to Crafty Little Things. Today I wanted to show you how to make this lovely stamped candle in a handmade box. Now I've used the tinsel from the Spring Summer catalogue that's just come out from Stampin Up, and I've used some of the DSP from Myths and Magic set, which has also just come out in the Spring Summer catalogue. And I've used the Message in a Bottle stamp set, which is from the annual catalogue. And I've made a little box. I've used a little heart here to create my own DSP. And then I've made a candle. I've just bought a candle and I've just stamped on the image of the mermaid and I love you and some hearts. So I'm going to show you how to do that. First of all, what we need to do is look at the size of our candle, because I'm going to use a bit of a bigger candle for this one. And what I do is I see what the diameter of the candle is. It's just under 2.5 inches. So I'll work out how big my box needs to be from that. So I'll use a dark pen so you can see me work that out. I'm going to make my box the same way. So I need my base of my box to be 2.5 by 2.5. Yep. And then my height of my box is going to be up to the wick. I'll take it. So it's going to be 4.5. Let me just draw it on an angle so it'll be easy to do. 2.5, 2.5. 4.5 up there, and then I'm going to need my lid, which will be 2.5, and then a little flap for my lid, which will be 1/2. Okay, so how I need to work out what size paper I need for this one. I needed 8.5 by 7.5 because the candle's smaller. How I need to work out what size my box is going to be, cardstock I need for my box, I need to kind of imagine this opened out. So I need a 2.5 wide piece here, 2.5, 2.5 and 2.5. So that's 10, and then 1/2 to enclose the flap, so that's 10.5. And then I need it to be 1/2 by 2.5, 1/2 plus 2.5, so that's 3, plus 4.5, so that's 7.5, and then plus 1.5 for the flap that goes underneath. So I need it to be 1.5, 2, 4.5, 8.5, 9. So 10 by 9, okay? Yeah, that's what I need. So I'm going to start off with my 10 by 9 piece of white, whisper white cardstock. Ten and a half by 9, in fact. So I'm just going to use regular cardstock because we're going to put the handmade DSP, which is going to be made of whisper white cardstock again. That will keep that nice and the box nice and sturdy, so we don't need to necessarily use the extra strong cardstock. Now for the 9-inch side, which is this side, we need to be looking at 1/2 inch, scoring at 1/2 inch, and then at 3 inches, and then at 7.5 inches, like so. And then the other way around, we need to be thinking about where we want our join to be. So I'm going to start off with my 1/2 inch for my join on the left hand side, And then I'm going to go in at 2.5, so I want to be 3, 5.5, 8, and that should leave me 2.5 there, which it does. Okay, and now I just have to think about which piece I want to be my lid and which piece I want to be the front. So that's going to go around, that's going to be my front because you don't want to join at the front. That's going to be my side, so this part is going to be my lid. Okay, so this is the only piece that needs this piece leaving on, the rest can be taken away. So just cut down there, don't notch in, and then cut all of this away. And don't throw it away because you can use it for labels and all sorts of things, so don't throw it away. You can notch in your little lid flap just very slightly. Sometimes it just helps it to notch in a bit, to slide in a bit. And so that's going to become your back. This little section here can come off, your long thin rectangle in the bottom corner, and then do notch that one in at the bottom and at the top. And that's the little flap that you're going to stick everything together with. And then just cut up to your first score line, these 3 score lines along the bottom, and they're just going to make the flaps to create the bottom of your box. Now this one's your front one, so I'm not going to notch that one in, but these 2 side ones, I'm not going to notch the back one in either, but these 2 side ones I am going to notch in. So just that one and this one, because it just makes it look a bit tidier when it's done. Okay, so because this is your front, so it's all going to go like that. Because this is your front, this is where you need to cut out your window, if you're going to have a window like I have here. Obviously this candle's bigger, so you probably need a bigger window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an oval stitch shape framework, and I'm going to cut out a window there in the middle of that box. So I'm going to go and do that now on my big shot, and I'm going to pass that through. If we just take off a little tiny bit more off each. So I'm going to take like 1/4 of an inch off the bottom of these flaps, and that just means that I'll be able to get this through the big shot without it bending, because now it's under 6. So I'm just going to get the oval and I'm going to place it sort of centrally here and then run it through the big shot. I'll only be a minute. So that's all going to stick together like so and make our box. Obviously we need to cut out a window sheet, a piece of window sheet for the back of this. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm just going to look at the size of my sides. They're 4.5 by 2.5, aren't they? So I'm just going to cut a piece of window sheet that's 4.25 by 2.25. I'm not going to put that on yet. That will fit on the back with some Tombow or with some snail. I'm not going to put it on yet because obviously I'm going to cut out this circle again. Right, so now what I need is 4 strips of DSP that measure 2 3/8 by 4 3/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some scrap paper. This is from the piece that we used, so that'll be fine. use that one. And then I'm going to find another bit. Yeah, so if I just use these 2 pieces of scrap, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 4 different pinks. I'm going to use Berry Burst, Sweet Sugar Plum, Powder Pink, and then I'm going to go for a bit of a redder colour with Cherry Cobbler. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the little heart shape out of the message in a bottle, and I'm just going to use that and make my own DSP. So I'm going to start off, it's clean at the minute, so I'm going to start off using the lightest colour, and all I'm going to do is pop it on and then just randomly stamp onto some paper. And I don't care which way up the hearts are, I'm going to put them all different directions. And then I'm going to do some on this. Doesn't matter if you get too much, because you can use it for the sentiment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use all of these colours, turn the paper around so that you get it, the hearts going in different ways. Don't worry if you make a mistake. You can always try to avoid that piece when you're cutting out. Okay, and when that's done, we'll just cut that then into those strips. So we need 4 3/8 by 2 3/8. So if we just go at it like this, 3, 4 3/8. And then we'll just do the 2 3/8. 2 3/8. Get most of them out of this. 2 3/8. 4 3/8. By 2 3/8. There's those, and then we need one for the top, which is 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. So 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. And then we can save some of that for the sentiment if we want to. So now what we need to do is stick that onto here. So I'm going to use Tombow for that. And what I'm going to do, unusually, is I'm going to do my first piece, but I'm going to put my glue around the edge of there as opposed to around the edge of the paper, which is what I would normally do. And that's just so that that glue only sticks the edges of the card on. Okay? For the rest, I'm going to just put the glue around. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back and I'm going to cut this out again using my die. I'm just going to lay it on top exactly where it was cut before and just run it through. You have again that cut out. You can do them together if you want. You can glue it on and then just cut it out in one go, but I just think that gives you two pieces that go together nice to make a sentiment. Then I'm just going to put some glue. Whoops, before we do that, I'm just going to put a bit of glue around the edge of the hole and get my window sheet and just pop that on and press away from the hole to get the glue to stick, because you don't want the glue to come through onto the front of the box. And I'm just going to pop some glue along there and then fold that box over and glue it down. My hands are quite gluey and glittery at the moment, so not the best. So that's going to be the top of the box. And so the bottom, you want your front flap to be the one that comes over last, because you get a nice smooth finish then. So they don't join, so I'm going to put glue all over this bottom flap, the back flap, and bring it forward. And then I'm going to put glue all over the front flap and bring that forward too. Take that back, sorry, and bring it forward so that it sticks like so. Get your box nice and square. Pop it down. You can just pop your candle in to weigh it down, or just use your bone folder and press that down. Once it's pressed down, pop your candle in just to give it some weight. And there you go, your candle fits perfectly. You've got that lovely window to see what's going on inside, and it's just a really cute and pretty little box, especially for a Valentine's gift. For the smaller box, I used the Pretty Labels punch, but I'm not going to do that for this one. I'm going to use this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the, oops, I'm going to use the It's Your Day stamp, and I'm going to use Berry Burst, because I love Berry Burst. It's a gorgeous colour. Well, I love all of them anyway, but I'm just going to stamp that up. I'm actually going to stamp this a couple of times because it's a bit of a small stamp for this, so I'm going to kind of go with the same kind of random effects that we went with for the hearts, and then I'm just going to pop a couple of the hearts on as well. Just to give us a little bit of something. Okay, and then I'm just going to use my crocodile, and I'm going to get the two pieces together and make a tag. I'm just going to make a hole in, and then what I'll do is I'll thread through some of the pink tinsel, the same that I've used here, when I'm finished, but obviously I have to make the candle first, so I'll do that first. It'll be a little bit different because on this one I attached this with dimensionals to the bottom of the box, and on the other one I'm not going to be doing that. So for this label, what I think I'll do is pop the tinsel through, and then I think what I'll do is I'll tie it in a bow and fasten the bow to the top of the box when it's done, and just let that hang down. Okay, so now I just have to make the candle itself. So how I stamp onto a candle is I use tissue paper. Now you can use normal regular wrapping tissue paper, or you can use something else. And this is what the something else is that I use. I use napkin tissue because it just works better as far as I'm concerned. It's much more delicate. And what you do is you just get a napkin that's got like a cream background or a white background, and you'll find that napkins usually separate into 3 layers. So you have the patterned layer, and then you have a layer that's got sort of a little bit of pattern, and then you have a layer that's got no pattern. And what I do is I take this layer off. Now if I'm printing onto a candle something that I printed off the computer, what I do is I make a carrier sheet. So I'd get a piece of A4 card and I would masking tape this on. Avoid these bumpy edges because they're not much use to you. Now decide what you're going to do on your candle. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a few hearts and a mermaid. I'm going to put the mermaid in the middle, a couple of hearts, and I love you on it. Okay, so all I'd do is I'd take my tissue and I'll cut a piece out. So I'll cut one of the quarters out, and then the rest I'd save for another time. And you're not wasting it because those other layers, the top layer, can be used to decoupage that actual pattern onto something. So if I wanted to decoupage those little dancing fairies or whatever they are, which I will do, then I'd use them for that. And this is just a much more delicate tissue, so it just leaves that little bit less heat treatment, and it just blends in that little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to print onto that then, and I'm going to take the mermaid first of all. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a big block. I'm going to pop the mermaid on. Let me just clean that up a bit. I'm going to pop the mermaid on, and I'm going to pop I love you on. Oh no, that's it. I'm going to get that on. I'm going to put I love you straight underneath it. Try and get it as straight as possible. It might be an idea to run it along the bottom and then bring the mermaid down. And then I'm going to take the heart stamp and I'm going to pop that up here. Okay. Now I'm going to use the berry burst again, and I'm just going to ink it all up, and then I'm just going to pop that onto my card. Now I might want to put more hearts on, I might not. I'm going to put more hearts on, so I'll just use a little block. Ink my heart up and pop it on. Ink my heart up. Now I could use the different colours again and put more around if I wanted to, and that'd be perfectly fine. But I'm not going to. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lay this onto my candle. It's way too big, so I'm going to cut right around it, very close to the edges, and I'm not going to make it a really sharp edge. Sometimes I actually tear these. I don't cut them at all, and that gives you a much better finish. But I'm just going to do this. So I'm going to cut around. I don't like sort of sharp edges. And then I just lay this onto my candle where I want it. Smooth it out. Oops. And then what I do is I take some greaseproof paper and I use the shiny side down, which is the grease side, and I hold it behind tightly, and I use a heat tool to melt the image in. But I'm going to show you another way of making your own greaseproof paper, and as this was a pre-bought candle and it's not fragranced, I'm going to show you how to add a little bit of fragrance to your candle and how to make your own greaseproof paper. So what you do to make your own greaseproof paper, just get a piece of normal printer paper, and then if you get a piece of white fragrance wax. Now this can be a wax melt. This is a wax melt I've made myself. This is like an offcut of a wax melt, if you like. And then you rub that onto your paper, covering the whole area that you're going to cover with your stamped image. So it can be hard to see white on white, so just go over and over and over. I mean, you can cover the whole sheet if you want. Remember, you have to hold this tight behind your candle, so it is best to do more rather than less. So sort of start in the middle. Sorry if you're jumping around all over. Right. So there you've created your own wax paper. And not only have you created your own wax paper, but it smells gorgeous. You can just use your fingers, just rub that down. So that smells beautiful. So now what you need to do now is just keep your image straight. Make sure it's the wax part that you're putting down onto it, and pull your paper tight behind, okay? And then get your heat tool, let it get hot before you put it onto your image. And the only difference is with this method, you can't really see your image very well underneath, especially if your paper's quite good quality. But then once you start to use your heat tool on it, it will start to show through a bit more, and then you'll be able to see where your image has imprinted. See? You see where it's melted off the wax that's on the back of your homemade wax paper. And then you can see it's all done. Switch it off. Oh, the smell is divine. And then just peel off your homemade wax paper, and underneath you have your imprinted design. Not only is it a printed candle, but now you've gone from having a candle that wasn't fragranced, that you just bought cheaply in a set or whatever, to one that actually smells gorgeous. And then you pop that in your box, and now you can see through there. Stick your lid on, and then you can get your label, and as I said, you can just make a bow for this one if you want, and just have your tag hanging down a little bit. So you might just want to get it like this. But there you go. Open that bow up a little bit. And what a lovely gift for Valentine's Day, or for a friend for a birthday, or whatever. An absolutely unique gift. hand printed DSP, hand printed candle, and if you make your own candles it can even be a handmade candle as well. Fantastic little handmade gift there. So yeah, enjoy making that one. And there is a blog post to go with this one, given the dimensions for this one as well. So if you wanted to make a smaller one, this candle was 2 in diameter by 3.5, so a little bit smaller than the other one. But yeah, look at those gorgeous little prezzies. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back very, very soon.